Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing word problems. So here we have a little word problem that says, how many apples would Caleb have if he started with 3 apples, and then bought 5 apples, and then dropped an apple on the way home? Well, let's see. When we're reading word problems, we want to start by finding the question. The question is usually at the end, but in this case it's at the beginning. It can be anywhere. It says, how many apples would Caleb have? That is the question, so we're going to underline that. Now we're going to look at the important parts of the word problem. We'll say if he started with 3 apples, and then bought 5 apples, and then dropped an apple on the way home. So he started with 3 apples, and then he bought 5 apples, and then he dropped an apple on the way home. So here we have 3 apples, 5 apples, and 1 apple. So we're starting with 3 apples, and then he bought 5 apples, so that's 3 plus 5. So we can write that out, 3 plus 5. And then he dropped an apple on the way home, so that's minus 1 apple. So that equals what? 3 plus 5 is 8, minus 1 is 7. So he will have 7 apples. So that's a pretty easy question, right? This one's a little bit tougher. Danny and Tom started digging a hole in their backyard to make a fort. If Danny dug this hole all by himself, it would take him 4 hours. If Tom dug the hole all by himself, it would take him 3 hours. How long would it take them if they both dug the hole together? Well, let's start by identifying the question. Here it is at the end. How long would it take them if they dug the hole together? We're going to underline that, so we have our question. So if Danny dug the hole all by himself, it would take him 4 hours. 4 hours is important information, so we're going to highlight that. And then if Tom dug the hole all by himself, it would take him 3 hours. So we will highlight that. So how long will it take them if they both dug the hole together? So if you don't know how to do this problem, I'll show you. We're going to need to get a table for this one. This is what our table is going to look like. We're going to have the rate, the time, and the fraction completed, and then we're going to have Danny and Tom over here on the left. The rate for Danny is going to be 1/4 because it's going to take him 4 hours to do by himself. And for Tom, it's going to be 1/3. The time is what we're trying to figure out, so we don't know what that is. We're going to do t for that. Now the fraction completed for Danny is going to be 1/4 t, and for Tom it's going to be 1/3 t. Now let's try and solve for t. If we take the fraction completed for Danny and then add that to the fraction completed for Tom, it's going to equal 1 because they will dig one hole that's big enough. Now we need to get rid of the fractions, and to do that we need to times both sides by a number that gets rid of the fractions, and to figure out what the lowest number is to get rid of the fractions, we can actually multiply the denominators. So 4 and 3 we can multiply, because those are the denominators, and we'll get 12. So we can times 12 to both sides, and if we do that we're going to get 3t plus 4t equals 12. Now we can add the 3t and 4t and get 7t equals 12. Now we divide both sides by 7, and we'll get t is equal to 12 over 7, which is approximately 1.7 hours. So if they work together, it would take them about 1.7 hours. Here we have one final word problem. We've got a 6-gallon solution of salt water has 8% salt. How much more water should Jack add to the solution to get a saltwater solution that has only 3% salt? So we first need to identify the question, which is, how much more water should Jack add? So we'll underline that. And then some important numbers is a 6-gallon solution. So we're starting off with 6 gallons, and that solution has 8% salt. Now we want to get the saltwater solution to 3% salt by adding water. So to solve this problem, we need to start by finding out how many gallons of salt are in the 6-gallon solution. To figure that out, I've got a calculator here, and what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 6 gallons by 8% salt. So we're going to multiply it by 0.08. 0.08 is just 8%, so we're going to find out that a little less than a half of a gallon is how much salt is in the 6-gallon solution. So 0.48. So we want is 3% salt, which is just 3 over 100. So we're going to say 3 over 100, which is 3%, and we're going to need to make that equal to our solution, which is going to be 8% salt, which has 0.48 gallons of salt in it, and we want that to be 6 plus, whatever we need to add it to make it equal to 3 over 100. So we'll do 6 plus x. So it's kind of hard to see when it's all laid out like this, but the 3 is above the 100 and the 0.48 is above the 6. So we're going to cross multiply and do the 3 times the 6 plus x and the 0.48 times the 100. So the 0.48 times the 100 is just 48. So we've got 48 is equal to 3 times 6 plus x. And here we can use the distributive property that we learned a while back, and we'll get 48 is equal to, if we times 3 times 6, we're going to get 18, and then 3x. Now we can subtract 18 from both sides, and get 30 is equal to 3x. And finally, that's 10 is equal to x. So supposedly, if we add 10 gallons to the 6-gallon solution, we'll have 3% salt. Now let's check this. So we have 0.48 gallons of salt, and we're going to do that over 16 gallons of just total salt water. Then what we get here is 0.03, which is 3%. So that's right. We need to add 10 gallons of water to this salt water to make 3% salt. I hope you guys learned a lot from this lesson, and good luck on your test.